Okay, here's one from a pastor I'm not going to identify, but can you please comment on pastors knowing who gives what? I feel like I'm doing stewardship blind with no clue about the giving.
Lovett, do you want to go on that?
Well, no, Ann is our speaks authoritatively on that, but what I like to say is if pastors are split on this issue, sometimes as much as 50-50. Some thinking that if I know what people give, I can't be the faithful pastor I want to be, and others feeling they should know. But the question that comes back is, if you don't think you should know, what other ignorance about your members' lives would make you a better pastor? If you didn't know how often they attended worship, would that make you a better pastor? So that's a little kind of a catty way to deal with it. But as a pastor for 18 years, I didn't know. But I think, well, I know I could have functioned better as a pastor and pastoral leader had I known. Now, we have a good section in the book on that, and Ann has written separately on it as well. So I'd like for her to speak.
Yeah, so I think it's probably obvious to you based on the way I talked about approaching a commitment campaign and sort of being sensitive to what your congregants' situations are, that I think it is important for a pastor to know what people give. And that's been a constant in our work as we've worked with congregations to help enhance generosity. So I agree wholeheartedly with Lovett that I think pastors, it's to a pastor's benefit, both pastorally and in terms of encouraging generosity, to know what people give. Now, I also know it's easy for me to say that that's a good idea, and a lot harder for those of you who are in the parish to live into that reality if that's not the culture of your congregation. So one of the things we talk about in the book is, if you have had this real, and it goes back to the secrecy and conspiracy of silence around money, right? I mean, one of the reasons we want absolute secrecy about giving is because it's the same conspiracy of silence. We don't want to talk about money. We're really buttoned up about it, and it reflects that same attitude of about money being bad and money being linked to power, and that's not how it's supposed to be in the church. But how do we get to a better place? In our United Methodist denomination, there are actually a lot of judicatories that have passed sort of rules that say that a pastor has to know what people give, and I don't know that really helps very much. I think that often in the book, we give an example of a congregation that on their pledge card, they just put a little checkoff box that said, they were going to put a checkoff box on the pledge card saying, it's okay with me if the pastor knows what I give, so that people could kind of buy into it. And at the last minute, they said, oh, let's make it the other way around. Let's make it an opt-out. I'm going to check this box if I don't want the pastor to know what I give. And what they found was that the vast majority of people really didn't have a problem with the pastor knowing what they give. And that was really a helpful exercise for them. Because I think a lot of people, assume a pastor's going to know. And so I thought that was a great strategy to have that little checkbox on the pledge card. You can also, form your own, I think, regardless of whether or not the pastor, if the rule is that the pastor knows or not, there should be a policy in place about who has access to giving records. And so that can be another way to come at it, to have a conversation about who needs access to giving records and why. Because even in churches that say, oh, nobody should know what anybody gives, somebody knows, right? And so begin by asking who's that somebody and why do they need to know, and then that may lead you to think about what other good reasons there are for who to know and who not to know.